In this video, we will look at the basics of using sales goals. To view and set sales goals, come to Reports, Point of Sale Reports, and Sales Goals. Let's create a new goal. At the top you have Title. You can give it a title if you want, or if you leave it blank, it will use a automatically generated title. Next we have Type. Right now there are only sales goals, so we'll leave that as is. Next there is Dimension. This allows us to either set a single goal across all selected locations and the whole date range, or set goals individually for each location, or for each day, month, or year in the range. I will cover this in greater detail in another video. For now, I'll select Single Goal. Now we select which locations whose sales we want to use in the computation of our progress towards this goal. So I'll select everything except Warehouse. Now we select the date range. We can either set it by day, month, or by year. We can set the end date either directly by setting the stuff down here, or we can use this range input, and that will compute the end date based on the start date and the range. In this case, I'd like to make a goal for one fiscal year, and so I'll set it to year, set it for 2025, and I'll start the fiscal year on July 1st, and I just want one fiscal year, so I'll set this to 1. Next, we set what sales data we want to include in our progress towards this goal. In this case, I'll include everything except the roofing category. Add that in, and then I'll include returns and refunds. And down here, we set the goal amount. I'll set it to 12,000. And if we come back up here, I think I maybe will set the title to Fiscal Year 2025. And that will override the default title. And now I'll click Save. Now we see the goal on this page. Goals are sorted according to whether the time range they cover is in the past, the present, or the future. Goals have a few different reports. Let's look at the main report and click Make Report. Along the edges, we have the locations used in this goal and the date range. The first column is the number of business days in this date range. I will cover how to set business days in another video. Next, we have the progress, the goal amount, and the variance. So this tells us that we are currently about 538 short of our goal. Next, we have the business day of goal. If it is in italics, that means we have not reached our goal yet, and this is an estimated date of when we'll reach the goal. If it is not in italics, then the goal has been reached, and this would show the date that the goal was reached. This is the business day of this date. So June 25th is the 301st business day in this range. So based on this estimation, it appears that we will reach the goal a few days before the end of the date range. If the goal covers a date range including the present, which this goal does, there will be an Include to Date option here. If we select that and click Make Report, this changes the first row and gives us 2 new rows. This is now a fraction showing which business day it is today over the total business days. Goal to date is the total goal amount multiplied by this fraction. Variance to date is the current progress minus the goal to date. So since we're on business day number 273 out of 307, we would want to be around 273 over 307 of the way to our goal amount. Since the variance to date is positive, that tells us we are ahead of where we should be right now, which is good. You can compare the goal progress to the daily summary report. If we come to the daily summary report and select the same locations and date range as our goal, so we start on July 1st, going to June 30th, and show all purchases and generate report. if we come down here, this number here includes returns and refunds and excludes sales tax and store credit, just like our goal. So if we compare this number here to the number on our goal report, we can see that it is $10 ahead. But that's actually what we want, because when we set this goal, we set it to exclude the roofing category. And if we come back to daily summary report, we see that in fact there was $10 of roofing purchases. So the values work the way they should. The next report is the daily progress report. Click Make Report. This report is a way to see whether you are staying on track to meeting your goal on a day-by-day basis. It takes the total goal amount and divides it by each business day in the date range. There were 307 business days in this range, and the total goal amount was 12,000. So this number right here is 12,000 divided by 307. So this number is put into the cumulative goal column, and then the value increases evenly each business day, all the way until way at the bottom, it reaches the total goal amount. Over here, we have the sales for each day and the cumulative sales. So for each row, this value right here is this value plus the previous cumulative sales. And this is a demo account, so realistically, you wouldn't have all these blank sales values here. And then the variance column is the cumulative sales minus the cumulative goal. By looking at whether the variance is positive or negative, we can see for each day if we are ahead or behind of where we should be in sales to stay on track with the goal. There are a few more options for this report. Hide days without goals or sales would hide days like July 4th, where that's not a business day and we don't have any sales there. And then there's also future estimation, which will compute a estimated daily sales value and then use that to estimate whether or not we will reach our goal in the future. So I'll check both of those, click Make Report, and now you can see that July 4th and 6th have disappeared. And if we come to days in the future, we now see that they're all filled in with this value in italics, which is added to the cumulative sales column every day. And if we come down to the bottom, we can check if our estimated total sales amount will be ahead or behind of the goal. And in this case, it's ahead, so that's good. If you set the start date to a date other than the start date of the goal, so I'll set this to July 16th, then you'll have this include previous cumulative sales / goals option. If you leave that unchecked, so go ahead and make the report, then the cumulative goal column will start with the same value as before. Then, because it is increasing by the same amount, but over a smaller number of days, it will not reach the same total goal amount at the bottom. And so if we come back up here and check this box, click Make Report. So now the starting value for the cumulative goal basically includes the cumulative goal up to this date. And then we also see that the cumulative sales column change, and it also includes the sales that came from before this date. All right, I'm just going to reset this report to its starting values real quick. And so the last option is, there probably aren't many situations in which you would actually do this, but you can uncheck this divide goal by business days only option. And if you do that, then the numbers in the cumulative goal column will change. It will take the total goal amount, which is 12,000, and divide it by the total number of days in the date range, rather than just business days. And then it will increase the cumulative goal amount each day, regardless of whether or not it's a business day. So you can see July 4th, it still is increasing. And then at the bottom, it still reaches the same total goal amount. And then the cumulative sales and variance work as before. Finally, there is the old report. This is a report from an older version of the goal system. It's basically an older version of the main report, but it has some slightly different columns. And the main report has some greater flexibility options, which I will cover in another video.